Okay, everyone, thank you very much for joining us. Today we're going to introduce to you the important skill of shadowing. My name is Victor.
My name is Mark.
And we're going to, first of all, talk about why we actually do shadowing exercises at Simul. But before that, we really need to explain what exactly is shadowing.
Yeah, so shadowing basically is following exactly as you can whatever someone else is saying.
So you can do this by listening to a recording, and you can play one sentence, pause it, and then you repeat exactly what you heard in that sentence.
Yeah.
Ideally, you should be recording yourself as you repeat the sentence, because it's a good idea to listen to yourself speaking, and then you can compare the original recording with your recording and see how well you actually repeated the words. Now, that's basically shadowing.
Yep.
Okay, you mimic, you copy exactly what you heard, and you repeat it orally. So, question, why do we do shadowing?
Well, shadowing improves short-term memory retention, which is very important, and particularly if you're aiming to use English professionally or as an interpreter. It's very, very important.
And of course, the other important point is that it really increases your listening accuracy and also your ability to recognize words.
Yeah. Also, it should improve your pronunciation, particularly your rhythm and your intonation, because you're trying to follow as exactly as you can.
And, you know, I think a lot of people don't realize that a lot of language learning is just simply copying exactly what you hear, copying people's pronunciation, copying the way people speak, their intonation. So yeah, don't be afraid to copy exactly what you heard. And finally, and this is why you should really record yourself when you do your shadowing, is it allows you to really become conscious of your own speech. So you're able to monitor exactly what you said, and also you should be able to pick up some of the mistakes that you've made. Okay, now, although people don't like to do it, I think it's a very important step to actually listen to your own recording. So let's introduce the topic of the actual shadowing recording. And the topic is going to be focusing on income distribution inequality in America since 1989. It's going to be talking about what has happened to income distribution. I mean, basically, how would you explain income distribution?
Basically, there's a finite amount of resources, which is money in this case, in America and in all countries, and it's how it's shared out. So you're thinking about, you know, the top earners, the middle earners, and the bottom earners.
So think of it like a pie.
Yeah, very much so.
And everyone gets a share of the pie, and some people get a bigger share or slice of the pie, and others get less. So let's have a look at a chart which actually very clearly demonstrates how unequal America is. As you can see in the video, we have two charts. 1989.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark.
Well, so first of all, at the top, it gives you what was the total amount of money, or you can actually call it the money pie. And as you can see, it's 7.12 trillion. That's the total. Okay. And then if we look and we see the bottom 50% of income earners only earned 15% of the income. The middle 50 to 90% of income earners, they earned a bigger slice, 42%. But what's really quite shocking is that just the top 10% of income earners earned a whopping 42% of that total 7.12 trillion. That's an amazing.
And I think it's important to point out that when we say bottom 50%, we're talking about people who are, you know, below average income, or even people at poverty level.
Yeah,
you know, the working poor, as they're called in Japan. The middle, you know, it's generally people who have, you know, full-time positions in the company and are making good salaries, generally like what we call the middle class, professionals. doctors and, well, dentists and accountants and people who are professionals. But when we talk about the top 10%, these are the business owners. These are the people who are earning very, very high incomes. So as you can see on the right, 2016, obviously the size of the pie has grown to almost $13 trillion. However, there's been some changes, and these changes are not particularly positive at all. Actually, the bottom 50% is actually getting a smaller share. It's shrunk to 13%. And even the middle class, the share has shrunk to 37%. And what's really worrying is actually the top 10% now have 50% of the nation's pie. So obviously, inequality is growing and growing quite significantly.
Very much so.
So the shadowing recording is going to cover the 4 topics outlined.
So we've got the concept of the so-called household income pie,
which we kind of already talked about. And also, we've also talked about some of the changes since 1989.
Okay. And then the shadowing will move on to talk about the impact on people.
And then finally, the overall message, which is basically the conclusion.
Yeah,
very much. Right. So that will be the content of the shadowing recording. So that is the end of shadowing part 1. And in shadowing part 2, we will actually do the shadowing activity. We will play the recording, and you will be doing the activities that we suggested to you. Right. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Thank you. And hopefully you'll be able to join us for part 2.